working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Maricar Velasco, delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region. On today's headlines. The Commission on Elections and Bank on Wednesday, May 22, proclaimed the winning senators in the May 13 polls. President Rodrigo Duterte will wait for recommendations from National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon Jr. and the Defense Department on matters concerning Google's decision to bar Chinese smartphone company Huawei from some updates to the Android operating system. Agriculture Secretary Manuel Manny Piñol on Tuesday directed the Bureau of Agriculture and Fisheries Standards, or BAFS, to set norms for vinegar manufacturing, with only sour condiments produced through natural fermentation process should be labeled as vinegar or suka. The Commission on Elections and Bank on Wednesday, May 22, proclaimed the winning senators in the May 13 polls. They will serve as senators for 6 years until June 30, 2025. With their election, the next Senate is expected to be dominated by administration allies following the shutout of all Ocho Derecha Senate bets in the May 13 polls. The next Senate is expected to have only 4 sitting opposition senators: Antonio Trillanes IV, Franklin De Rolon, Kiko Pangilinan, and Laila de Lima. The 12 newly proclaimed senators are Cynthia Villar, Grace Poe, Bongo, Pia Cayetano, Ronald De La Rosa, Sunny Angara, Lito Lapid, Amy Marcos, Francis Tolentino, Aquilino Coco Pimentel III, Bong Revilla, Nancy Binay. Indonesian police fired tear gas to disperse demonstrators in downtown Jakarta early Wednesday after a rally opposed to President Joko Widodo's re-election, according to an AFP reporter. The country's election commission on Tuesday released official results that confirmed Widodo, 57, had beaten retired military General Prabowo Subianto for the presidency in a poll held on April 17. Subianto has said he would challenge the results in court and warned that his claims of widespread cheating could spark street protests. Several thousand people rallied in support of Subianto near the Election Supervisory Agency office in the heart of the capital, Jakarta, on Tuesday. The protest ended peacefully, but police in riot gear later fired tear gas at some demonstrators who refused to leave the area and hurled fireworks and other objects at police. Earlier, some protesters had set market stalls on fire. It was not immediately clear if any demonstrators or police were injured in the clash. More than 30,000 troops were deployed across the capital in anticipation of protests after the official election results were published. Tensions have also spiked since police said last week that they had arrested dozens of Islamic State-linked terror suspects who had planned to cause chaos by bombing post-election protests. The fishing ban imposed by China in the West Philippine Sea, or South China Sea, is against Philippine sovereignty, Malacanang said on Tuesday. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo, when asked in a palace briefing if the fishing ban was objectionable on the part of the Philippines, replied that's against the sovereignty and that's the position.
Is it objectionable for a sovereign country to have its property or island assaulted or intruded into? If your answer is yes, then the answer to your question is yes.
The Chinese Agricultural Ministry reported said the annual fishing ban, which covers both Chinese and foreign fishermen, will run from May 1 until August 16. Vietnam resolutely rejected China's unilateral fishing ban decision, according to media reports. Panelo said the government will always be consistent with its policy that it will assert its sovereignty over the areas claimed to be its own. The presidential spokesman, however, said he will leave it to the Foreign Affairs Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr. to make a statement on the issue.
I will leave that to the Secretary of Foreign Affairs to make a direct statement on that.
On April, President Rodrigo Duterte met with Chinese President Xi Jinping during their bilateral meeting on the sidelines of the Second Belt and Road Forum in Beijing, China from April 25 to 27, where both leaders reiterated their respective stance on the Sea Row. Panelo said the two leaders also agreed to use a bilateral consultation mechanism to resolve the conflict. Former Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales is back in the country after she was held by immigration authorities at a Hong Kong airport on Tuesday, May 21. Morales arrived at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport Terminal 2 around 10 p.m., hours after her ordeal. She was supposed to go on vacation with her family in the Special Administrative Region of China, but decided to return to the Philippines after she was held for supposedly being a security threat. Earlier, presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo noted that the same government assistance shall be given to each and every Filipino in distress abroad, and this is regardless of political persuasion or affinity. He, however, said the Philippine government will defer to the immigration laws and rules of other countries, much as we expect foreign nations to do the same. Reports said Morales was detained for allegedly being a security threat and is now facing deportation. The former ombudsman's lawyer, Anne-Marie Coromina, said immigration authorities separated Morales from her family. On March 13 this year, Morales and former Foreign Affairs Secretary Albert Del Rosario filed a complaint before the International Criminal Court, or ICC, insisting Chinese officials be held accountable for crimes against humanity and damage to environment over China's activities in their disputed waters. Chinese Ambassador Zhao Jianhua described the case filed by the two former government officials against Chinese President Xi Jinping as a fabrication. President Rodrigo R. Duterte has clarified that his administration has no participation in the said activity.
When visiting the Philippines, Manila or Quezon City is a popular destination. But oftentimes the hustle and bustle of the city can be more stressful on your vacation. So when you feel the need to reconnect to nature or relax again, there's a beautiful oasis just outside of the city called the Garden at Ciudad de Victoria. Some of the species that you can see here include hydrangea, snapdragon, and stargazers. They're truly beautiful. The gardens at Ciudad de Victoria are so peaceful, tranquil, and beautiful that it's become a haven for young couples and a very popular venue for engagement photos. The next time you want an escape from the big city, the garden at Ciudad de Victoria is a wonderful place to visit.
Welcome back. President Rodrigo Duterte will wait for recommendations from National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon Jr. and the Defense Department on matters concerning Google's decision to bar Chinese smartphone company Huawei from some updates to the Android operating system.
I suppose the Department of National Defense as well as the National Security Advisor are studying that matter. And the President will be waiting for whatever recommendation they have on that.
These restrictions came after U.S. President Donald Trump placed the Huawei Technologies Company Limited on a trade blacklist, which prevents access to future versions of the Android operating system. Google is one of the first American companies to comply with Trump's order. Huawei will be barred from purchasing U.S. licensing part and technology without special permission. The U.S. Commerce Department granted Huawei a 90-day relief for transactions necessary to maintain existing networks and minimize disruptions to its customers. Despite this development, the Philippines' major telecommunications companies assured that customers will not yet be affected by the U.S. restriction. In a statement, Philippine Long Distance Telephone Inc. and Smart vowed to work closely with Huawei to address concerns regarding firmware and software updates for their devices. Globe Telecom Inc. in a separate statement assured Huawei will continue to provide their devices with security updates and after-sales services. The ASEAN Social-Cultural Community, or ASCC Council, extended its full support for Thailand's 2019 ASEAN chairmanship and priorities at a meeting in Chiang Mai, Thailand on the 17th of May. Thailand's chairmanship theme, Advancing Partnerships for Sustainability, emphasizes the promotion of future-oriented actions for human security, people-to-people connectivity and partnerships, and social-cultural sustainability in the region. Attended by ministers and senior government representatives, the ASCC Council supported Thailand's priority areas for the ASCC pillar for 2019. These include establishing the ASEAN Center for Sustainable Development Studies and Dialogue, ASEAN Center for Active Aging and Innovation, ASEAN Cultural Center, ASEAN Training Center for Social Work and Social Welfare, and Disaster Emergency Logistics System for ASEAN. ASCC Council members also discussed 5 documents to be submitted to the upcoming 34th ASEAN Summit. The documents address the issue of marine debris, the future of work, the greening of jobs in ASEAN, and also 2019 as ASEAN Cultural Year. The meeting was preceded by the 26th Senior Officials Committee for the ASCC, which discussed and endorsed various ASCC initiatives, such as the production of an ASCC magazine to increase the profile of ASCC. Other initiatives endorsed include the development of a smart ASCC roadmap to harness the potential of the 4th Industrial Revolution for the people of ASEAN. Cross-sectoral collaboration remains high on ASCC's agenda. The 14th Coordinating Conference on the ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community on the 14th of May discussed the need for strengthened collaboration, especially in the areas of the future of work, social environmental safeguards, and social protection in times of disasters. The International Chamber of Commerce, or ICC, is preparing for the publication of Incoterms 2020, an update of the renowned regulations that define the responsibilities of buyers and sellers operating in the international trade system. facilitating trillions of dollars in global trade each year. The International Commercial Terms, or Incoterms rules, are a commonly accepted set of definitions and rules governing commercial trade activity. Following a series of studies conducted in the 1920s, ICC discovered discrepancies in the interpretation of commercial trade terms used by traders from different countries. Based on these findings, ICC concluded there was a need for the creation of a common protocol for importers and exporters everywhere. The first set of Incoterms rules was published by ICC in 1936. Since then, ICC has periodically revised the Incoterms rules to reflect changes in the international trade system. Incoterms 2010 is the most current version of the rules to date. This latest edition of the Incoterms rules included an increased obligation for buyer and seller to cooperate on information sharing and changes to accommodate string sales. For the past decade, Incoterms 2010 has provided critical guidance to importers, exporters, lawyers, transporters, and insurers across the world. In its centenary year, ICC is preparing for the official release of Incoterms 2020 later this year. Today, more than ever, participants in the global trade system require guidance and clarity. With the emergence of new technologies, government policies, and environment regulations, Incoterms 2020 will provide a common framework for the future of trade. The development of Incoterms 2020 saw extensive consultation among economists, lawyers, and trade experts, as well as insight from ICC's global network of national committees.
Nicole Tongo here, greeting you from all the way here at Niagara Falls in Canada. Make sure to watch the Jonas every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. only on Net 25. Again, I am Nicole Tongo, always one with 25.
Welcome back. Agriculture Secretary Manuel Manny Piñol on Tuesday directed the Bureau of Agriculture and Fisheries Standards, or BAFS, to set norms for vinegar manufacturing with only sour condiments produced through natural fermentation process to be labeled vinegar or suka. Piñol said as Secretary of Agriculture and Consumer, he will not dip his fingers into the health issues involved in using non-biogenic vinegar because those are beyond his competence. However, there are legitimate issues which he has to raise to protect the local vinegar makers and the consumers as well. Piñol noted that the DA has always assumed that vinegar is understood as a product of a natural fermentation process using agricultural products such as the use of coconut sap or water and sugarcane juice as the main ingredient for the production of vinegar. He said the dictionary defines vinegar as a sour-tasting liquid containing acetic acid obtained by fermenting dilute alcoholic liquids, typically wine, cider, or beer, and used as a condiment or for pickling. The definition does not say or any other sour condiment produced from synthetic materials which are byproducts of fossil fuel processing. Any other product which offers the sour taste but is not a product of a natural fermentation process should be properly labeled as such: synthetic acetic acid or sour non-biogenic condiment. Thus, Piñol said that as Secretary of Agriculture, sour condiments made out of synthetic or non-biogenic acetic acid should not be labeled as vinegar or suka. The DA initiated an interagency meeting on Monday to address the issue of acetic acid-based commercial vinegar sold in the market and came up with 3 resolutions. Meanwhile, Piñol said he believes that there is simply no legal or moral basis for FDA to withhold the release of the sour condiment brands which PNRI found using non-biogenic acetic acid. He notes the release of the names will not only be in compliance with the consumer protection laws, but also the observance of that very basic provision in the Philippine Constitution which bestows upon every Filipino the right to know. He adds the list of the non-biogenic sour condiments being passed off as vinegar in the market, whether they are safe for human consumption or not, should be released now. Otherwise, government could expect a lot of lawsuits. Swedish companies are keen on investing in the Philippine market, particularly in sectors that are picking up here apart from infrastructure. A report titled Philippines Open for Business, published by Business Sweden, identified these sectors as manufacturing, retail and e-commerce, and information technology business process management. The manufacturing sector is expected to grow steadily in the coming years. It will be a priority investment area for both the public and private sector, given that it has higher employment, income, and output multipliers compared to other industries. It said the report underscored the need for enhanced productivity in order for the country to make a significant leap forward in becoming a strong regional player in manufacturing. For Swedish companies, this represents a unique and almost untapped opportunity to educate the market in automation and lean manufacturing. They also considered the IT BPM industry in the Philippines, now a key contributor to socioeconomic development, with revenues reaching roughly $25 million in 2017, translating to over 9% contribution to GDP. In the medium term, they see that industry dynamics will be driven by rapid technological advancements such as automation, artificial intelligence, digital transformation, and the use of big data and analytics. In their view, higher value jobs which are present in non-voice services would grow faster compared to the traditional voice subsegment. The report noted that the growth in the retail sector as a result of the bullish economy has been coupled with an increase in e-commerce. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Maricar Velasco and I am 1 with 25.